Welcome to Buddha Beyond Science and Religion, Episode 1. Let us get straight to the point. I believe many of us think that Buddha's teachings are related to rituals, worship, and prayers. We have noticed and seen many monks and mendicants perform rituals that are related to prosperity, health, love, and many other things, from tattoos, holy showers, holy strings, and many more. He rejected rituals that are not aligned with his core teachings, which are specifically non-evil doings, do only the good, and purify the mind. The purpose of his teaching is for one to ultimately end suffering from this endless cycle of life, from rebirths from human to heaven, to hell, to animal. I believe by now, you must be thinking this is a story of some kind, a drama made in heaven, or some mythology that I'll be talking about. Please hold on, do not run away and watch over. I will try to use terms of modern technology from computer, hardware, AI, to try and show you how Buddha's teachings are very much aligned with the most advanced technology that we know of, our body and the mind. When I say we are in endless cycle of rebirths, many would say, no, it's not possible. It sounds more like a myth or a story or a sci-fi movie. But what if I said we are in a simulation of some kind, or one from the popular movie The Matrix? I believe many modern minds would say, yes, that's more likely, that's much more possible that we are in a simulation. What if I told you that Buddha's description about endless cycle of rebirths may be another way of describing the simulation that we understand of? It gets more interesting, right? Of course, but let me be clear before we move forward. The Buddha never claimed that we are in a simulation. It's just the comparison that I'm using as metaphor to try and explain, to show you how Buddha's endless cycle of rebirth aligns very well with the matrix or the simulation that we understand of. And if we are in a simulation, anything is possible, right? Rebirths in the simulation is possible. Neo and his friends were many times brought back into the simulation. As long as the code allows, as long as the programmer has created the modules or platform to handle life within the simulation, anything is possible. Let us pause jumping life and traveling the simulation here before we go in any deeper. We'll come back to revisit this just as an observation and framework for our thought process. Buddha was a science teacher too. He explained very well how the mind and body functions together. And in modern terms, I will try to use hardware and software to show you how it aligns very well. There is one hardware unit, and then there is 4 main software units that functions together. And to help us understand ourselves better, he categorized the body into 32 items or 32 parts for us to observe and see that we are not a single entity or a single unit, but rather an assembly of multiple units functioning together. Just like the phrase, all road leads to Rome, all Buddha's teachings lead to observation, training, and development of the mind. And there is a highway that is called the Eightfold Path, which eventually help us to understand the true nature of our existence. And with that experiential insight and knowledge, we stop seeing ourselves as an identity, but rather just a process of the mind. The awakening or enlightenment, what is it about? We've heard this term so many times, but not sure what actually does it mean. Let's briefly look into it together. Think of Neo in the movie The Matrix. Neo fully understands the code and knows very well where the system would lead him to. At one point, he was blind and couldn't see with his eyes, but he still knew the code, he still knew the system and the way in and out of the system. How did he do that? Well, he did not see with his eyes, but he saw it with his mind. In the same way, Buddha's teaching is for one to not see with the eyes, but rather see the reality, the true existence through the mind. The location where every problem arises, the exact location where the solution lies. A permanent mindset change or mental shift from delusion to seeing reality is the awakening or enlightenment. In brief, of course, and we will go deeper into this topic later on. By the way, enlightenment and awakening is not a place, certificate, or a diploma. It basically is cessation of suffering, and in computers' terms, we are not passing any value into the parameters of the function existence, and the function aborts. The object is set to null, and the loop of suffering ends. And we will dive deeper into this later on. Even with least knowledge about Buddhism, we can agree that Buddha is very much related to meditation. We see him sitting in that posture everywhere, from bars, restaurants, and some would even put Buddha's statue or image in the toilet. But what is Buddha doing in that posture? What is going on in his mind? Is he trying to lower his blood pressure? Is he trying to calm his anxiety? Or even something mystical might be going on inside. What is the difference between Buddha's meditation and other meditation centers or temples? Do we need to apply for a course? Can we meditate at home or what? Let's explore this together. Buddha's meditation is not just sitting idle and lowering blood pressure. The core purpose is to slow down the mind. We can agree when science says the brain works in lightning speed, similar to how fast a CPU with multiple cores work. To observe what is happening or how the process or calculation is done, one will need to slow down the CPU or simulate it on a separate system or sandbox with audit trail and logs. But we humans don't have a separate system for staging or development or testing. We only have one environment, and that is production or live. So we will need to slow down the process or slow down the mind to observe, to enhance, and to patch it live. So Buddha is teaching us how to train and develop our mind skill, to be able to observe the actual process that is going on. In doing so, we need to slow down the mind. The 101 of mind training and development is mindfulness or awareness. This is our mind debugger. Later on, we will explore different methods that the Buddha teaches us to practice mindfulness. One method he praises a lot is awareness or mindfulness of the breath. In his spoken language, Anapanasati. Science says the brain works on patterns and we can rewire it ourselves. Same way Buddha teaches to continuously practice without overwhelming ourselves, enough to make us long for our next exercise. A mindfulness practice of one finger snap is already a rewire in progress. By the way, mindfulness practice can be done at any posture. You do not always have to sit in meditation posture to practice mindfulness. You can stand, you can walk, you can jog, you can run, or even while you are doing your dishes or cooking. Just make sure that your mind is with what you're doing and do not let it wander around. That is already mindfulness in action. By now, I believe some of you are in a shock moment. Like, why haven't I heard this before? I've only heard stories about Buddha. I've only heard uplifting quotes and phrases from Buddha. But I haven't heard that Buddha's teachings are so systematic and scientific. If you're having this feeling, it's okay, don't worry. I ask you to continue to watch and observe my later episodes. I will try to demonstrate Buddha's teaching as a universal mind debugging and decoding engine. There is no requirement for religion or faith change. Be whatever you are, believe in whatever satisfies you. Just like anyone can start learning math, science, AI, social media marketing, and so many subjects in life. Same way, anyone can observe the mind process for themselves. Buddha has discovered how the mind truly works. He has reverse engineered it for us. All we need to do is use his simple yet profound techniques and apply it to observe for ourselves and see how our mind actually works. He never said, "Come follow me, worship me." All he said was, "Come, see and experience it for yourself." Please remember, A millisecond of mindfulness practice is already planting the seed. Don't bother mentioning about doing it more. Till we meet again.